Hari Om, Amitji.
Hari Om, good evening, all of you.
Hari Om, Amitji.
Let's pause for silence. Om. Geeta Aunty, Hari Om. Especially for you. Special
Thank you.
first was general. So is anybody attending this session for the first time, Q&A session for the first time? Any newcomers?
Amitji, there are quite a few.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I'm attending this session first time.
Okay, Sudha, you're attending for the first time. Okay. Who else? I don't see everybody on the screen. Okay, Sudha is there for the first time. Then Tushar. Tushar, are you there? Okay, Tushar is for the first time. Radha?
Amitji, they are typing on the chat box. And Stana is there for the first time.
Okay.
And Beth, the Naples, for the first time.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Amitji, this is Tushar. There was technical difficulty, but yes, my first time.
First time, okay. Great.
And thank you for everything what you do.
Yeah, welcome. So just a brief introduction about why we do question and answer session. So usually it is once in a week. It could be twice in a week. Now, purpose behind this exclusive Q&A session is the entire style of scriptures is in the form of question and answer session. Most of you are doing Bhagavad Gita, so you will know what I am saying. Arjuna is asking questions and Krishna is answering throughout Bhagavad Gita. If you go to Upanishad, which is the highest, the source of Vedanta philosophy, it is nothing but a seeker is clarifying his doubts and a master is answering the questions. In fact, one of the Upanishads is called as Prashnopanishad, the exclusive question and answer session. So there is a reason why we have kept this exclusive question and answer session, because by questioning, spirit of inquiry, one and the same thing, you remove your ignorance. It helps you to remove your ignorance. You get clarity, and it stretches your intellect. It develops your intellect rather than just listening mechanically, which is required. Listening is required. But you need to have that spirit of inquiry to gain more clarity, to develop your intellect. And forum like this is an opportunity to just that. Also, it is an opportunity to clarify your doubts, which you cannot do in our usual sessions. Because it's more of a lecture, especially Bhagavad Gita. Yes, follow the human intellect, which we do on Tuesdays, is relatively interactive, but still it's not a question and answer session. You can clarify your doubts, but you can't go to the depth. So when we are doing exclusive session like this, the questions which are asked by the questioners, they are well thought of questions. They have spent some time, sometimes weeks, sometimes months, and then they send these questions to us. So the quality of questions is totally different. They are not impulsive questions. And even by listening to this discussion, you will learn quite a lot. Some of you may say, no, I don't have any questions. I'm too new to the subject. It is okay. Just by what is happening, if you just participate in the discussion, so you want to say it right now how it is done, it will benefit you. You may not understand everything. If you are new to the subject, you don't have to worry. All the concepts are interlinked and they are repeated throughout. So eventually you will learn. And also the way we discuss here, the way I'm going to answer, it will help you to get your basics right, and which is required to understand a subtle subject like Vedanta. So it helps you to get your basic concepts correct. In case you have any questions, so how to participate in this discussion. So what you can do is you can send your questions to us. So we have exclusive email ID for that. Either Radha or Sita, they can put it in the chat box. questions@vedantamidwest.org. So it's plural, not singular. Questions. questions@vedantamidwest.org. So you can send your questions here, and I will filter those questions. Most of the questions we take up, as long as they are, you stick to the subject. You don't bring any extraneous matter into the subject. And whenever we have such discussions, your questions will be answered. So that is the way to participate. And if somebody is really interested, we want to take it to the next level, then every Thursday, practically every Thursday or Wednesday. Is it Thursday or Wednesday? Small group discussion?
Thursday, Amitji.
Thursday.
Yeah, so almost every Thursday, or you can say alternate, there is a schedule where we have something called as a small group discussion. Small group discussion is nothing but it's a forum to formally ask your questions and discuss. So it's taking it to the next level, and that is where you get real clarity. First of all, you question, then you answer somebody else's question. You can answer if you feel you have something to contribute. So that is where you gain maximum clarity. So that is the purpose behind this forum, exclusive question and answer forum or session. So I thought, let me share with you why are we doing it. And anyway, welcome all of you, those who are attending for the first time. So for today's session, we have selected, I think, 4 or 5 questions. And we'll start with those questions. First question is from Sita.
Question 1, reference is from the Catskills retreat. We watched the Taming of the Shrew movie and then had a discussion on it. So questions from the movie discussion. Gautamji stated that the 2 pillars of any relationship are 1, assessment, and 2, no confrontation. Question, how does not confronting someone benefit the relationship? Isn't it important in any relationship to talk about problems, issues, and work together to find solutions that work for both people rather than not confronting or ignoring a problem that could just get bigger? How does one problem solve with anyone if they should not confront them? Would it then be okay to make gentle suggestions to the other person instead of being harshly negative and critical, or would that still count as confrontation? 3, could confrontation be appropriate or necessary in certain situations? If yes, could you please explain? 4, if another person is doing something wrong that disturbs your spiritual studies and or development, would it be appropriate to confront the person? Or should one not confront them and instead remove themselves from that relationship altogether? Sorry, it's long, Amitji.
Well, it's a good question. It's a very practical question. Now, see, in any discussion, the first thing which we need to do is make sure we are speaking the same language. Now, this will be very useful to you in any facet of life, whether in personal life, whether in professional life, social life, that what do you mean by that particular word? If I use the word lion, what do I mean by lion? A particular animal. This is what I mean. Who has a mane, who is a carnivorous animal, is strong and all that, whatever. So by lion, I mean lion. But if your understanding of the word lion is dog, what are we discussing? Are you
Different, yeah.
So there is no basis, there is no foundation for a discussion, and we are arguing. I'm saying lion is like this. You are saying lion is so sweet, it licks me every day. I mean, how is it possible? So what do we mean by the word lion? So similarly, what do we mean by the word confrontation? This is what I need to establish in Vedantic parlance, in our discussion, in what context we are using the word confrontation. So that is the very basis of Sita's question. So the word confrontation, Sita, is not understood, the way we use it. So what do we mean by non-confrontation? Let's start from that. So we are supposed to assess people as they are. You know it, we often use this, we often say this, right? Each person is different because he or she has his own nature, which we refer to as vasanas. So every person has his own vasanas, that is his nature. And these vasanas, they manifest as thought, desire, and action. So if vasanas are unselfish, thoughts will be unselfish, desires will be unselfish, actions will be unselfish. If vasanas are indulgence, materiality, sensuality, that is what person's vasanas are. His thoughts will be grossly indulgent, desires will be in line with thoughts, actions will be grossly indulgent. So this is what we are supposed to do when we interact with people, especially close relationship. It could be spouse, it could be family members, colleagues, friends with whom we are interacting on day-to-day basis. So you need to assess people as they are. Is the thumb rule. Not as you want them to be. This is the problem in any relationship. You need to assess. Assess meaning understand. Black is black, white is white. This is the meaning of the word assessment. You need to assess people as they are. Once you understand their nature, once you assess them, then you know how to relate to them. His nature is he's short-tempered, period. That's his nature. Forget about whether it is right or wrong. That's his nature. So you know how to relate to a short-tempered person. Another person may have a sweet tooth. He has that weakness. That's his nature. So you know how to relate to that person. I'm giving you simple examples from day-to-day life. So once you understand that person's nature as it is, you understand, you know how to relate to that person. So where is the question of confronting his nature? So the confrontation happens when there is lack of assessment, or you wrongly assess the person. So you do not know how to relate to that person. Therefore, you want to change that person, or you expect something different from that person. It's not possible. A person who is self-centered will be self-centered. That's his vasana. You can't expect unselfish behavior from that person. That's not his fault. That's his nature. Selfishness is his nature. Second person, I'm repeating, could be very indulgent. So you cannot expect indulgent person to be, he must be disciplined, he must practice self-control, he should not be indulgent, he should not be materialistic, he should not be sensual. It's not possible. It's not his fault. So it is lack of assessment which creates unnecessary confrontations in life. So in that sense, we use the word confrontation. So again, what is confrontation? You want to change that person. You expect something from him which he is not. Therefore, there is stress, there is frustration, there are clashes. So these clashes arising due to lack of intellectual application, they are called as confrontation. And it can lead to arguments. I'm giving you an example like how they manifest in day-to-day life. Arguments, sometimes consistent arguments, fights, harshly negative, critical. I'm using your own words from the question. This is a way of confrontation. Or we are sarcastic, day in and day out. And if person is passive, he will just sulk. It's not necessary that everybody will argue, fight, there will be clashes. A passive person will withdraw into the shell. So internally, you are confronting the person, which is called as sulking in layman's language. Do you follow? So the very foundation for confrontation, now you know in what context we are using the word confrontation. You can use the word clashes. Is lack of assessment. When there is lack of assessment, you do not know how to relate to the person. Therefore, there is unreasonable expectation from that person, which creates mental frustration, agitation, stress in you. And if intellect is weak, then you will start clashing with that person. So that is the context in which we use the word confrontation. So obviously, it doesn't make any sense for you to maintain your own peace, to maintain your own sanity. But that does not mean that you should not have a dialogue with the person. In fact, that's what we recommend. If there are any differences in any relationship, whether it is personal relationship, whether it is professional relationship, at society level, anywhere, so you have to have a healthy dialogue. By healthy dialogue, I mean you use your intellect. You don't use your biases. It is not happening at the level of the mind. You are willing to correct yourself if required. Both the parties, they approach the discussion with this attitude. That is the foundation of any relationship. And many times, due to not discussing the so-called issues, creates further issues. And if you analyze, many times you will find that actually there is misunderstanding. There is nothing. The classic example of this, which play from Shakespeare? Since we all know, Sita, which play highlights this? I'm asking
I'm
Sita.
thinking. I'm thinking.
Give you some time. We
I
often
don't
give
know,
example.
Amitji. Is it Othello?
Yeah, it is Othello.
Okay.
It is Othello.
Okay.
The whole problem started because Cassio told him, Othello was a general in the army, married to Desdemona, the most virtuous lady. You can't get a better spouse than Desdemona. That is how her character is portrayed by Shakespeare. And the whole thing is planted by Iago. He's a villain. And he plants a thought in Othello's mind that Desdemona is having an affair with Cassio. But there was no such thing. She was totally devoted to Othello, her husband. So Iago and Othello, they are talking. They are in the porch. The whole thing is done deliberately. And Cassio is standing at a distance. And he has already told Cassio, you stand there and you wipe your beard with the handkerchief which Othello had given to Desdemona. It was a heirloom. Othello had got it from his mother. And then he says, Iago to Othello, I like not that. The famous words, I like not that. Othello says, what? Oh, nothing. No, don't worry. He's a good actor. Iago. Othello says, no, you are definitely, something is there. You're hiding something from me. You have to tell me, what is it? So he says, you see the Cassio? He is wiping the beard with the handkerchief which you gave to Desdemona. And this is how the whole thing starts. So Othello suspects Desdemona of infidelity. And in fact, Iago has stolen that handkerchief himself and he's given it to Othello, to Cassio. So all Othello had to do was what? Any matured person will do what?
Talk to her about it. Ask her
Talk
about it.
to Desdemona. How come the special gift which I gave you, how could you give it to Cassio? To which Desdemona would have said, what? Which? When did I give? Okay, let me go open the door. Oh my God, it's missing. How it is missing? So the whole thing would have been exposed. The plot of Iago. But no, Othello doesn't do that. Entirely mind-based personality. And that creates to hell a lot of problems and the whole thing is gone. I mean, I'm not getting into the play. He ends up killing Desdemona and he commits suicide. So coming back to your second question, yes, to avoid all this, you need to have a healthy dialogue to resolve any situation. By healthy dialogue, I mean your intellect should be available. It should not be biased. It should not be based on feelings and emotions. So by healthy dialogue, most of the problems can be resolved. In fact, everything can be resolved. And if there is no problem, you will find out by healthy discussion, what is the problem? Why are we having this discussion? It is meaningless. Our misunderstanding was meaningless. So we don't use the word confrontation for that. That is where the confusion is. the word which is the right word would be a dialogue, a healthy discussion, not confrontation. Confrontation, what is confrontation? I already explained to you. Are you okay?
Yes, yes, I'm following Amitji. Thank you.
Yeah. And that does not mean you should not correct any situation if required. See, that's what, again, Shakespeare tells us in Polonius's advice in Hamlet. Polonius is telling his son, Leatus, who is going abroad to study, he's a youngster. He gives him A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So it's a very famous portion from Shakespeare. So he tells him, beware of an entrance to a quarrel. Never get into a quarrel. Avoid getting into a quarrel. Beware of an entrance to a quarrel. But if you're drawn, let the opposed be know that, I have that exact quotation. Let me read it out. So it is in Polonius's advice in Hamlet. It's in the play Hamlet. Beware of entrance to a quarrel, but being in, bear that the opposed may beware of thee. First, he warns his son, beware of entrance to a quarrel. Don't get into unnecessary quarrel, confrontation, one and the same thing, fights. But being in, but if you're drawn into it, sometimes it's not your fault. So in self-defense, you need to correct the situation. You need to confront, I'm using your language, you need to confront that situation. Bear that the opposed may beware of thee. Then you have to resolve that situation. It's not that you are chickening out. That is passive. Nobody should victimize you. Why would you victimize others? But also make sure that other person should not victimize you. This is the problem with good people, passive good people. So they are good, therefore they don't see problems in the world. So it is aggressive, bad people who take advantage of them and they victimize them. So if you have to face such a situation in life, use your intellect and deal with that situation, resolve that situation. It goes without saying. So at times, it becomes necessary to deal with a situation when discussions, emotional, intellectual appeals, everything fails. And it is a question of upholding higher values versus lower values. Or maybe it is a question of your survival or in self-defense. You have to do it. I repeat, at times, you need to confront people. At times, you need to confront people. When discussions, intellectual appeals, emotional appeals, you try everything to resolve that situation. That's what I mean. And it is a question of upholding higher value versus lower values. Then you need to deal with that situation using your intellect. It's not that you have to chicken out. But it's not your intention to unnecessarily get into that situation. You tried everything to avoid the conflict, confrontation, clashes, but it is a question of your survival, or it's a question of your peace. You can't live in harmony, peacefully. Then you have to deal with that situation using your intellect. The simple examples could be, I'm just 2-3 examples I am giving you. You can come out with your own examples. If somebody is telling you, it could be your own spouse, could be your own friends, whoever, close relatives, childhood friends. No, we must do drugs. And nowadays, it's very easily available in America. I mean, whatever is allowed by the government. Let's stick to that example. Recreational marijuana or whatever. We have been doing everything together. So let's know, I'm going every weekend or once in a month I go. No, you also must join. You say no. How can you say no? To maintain relationship, we have been doing everything together all the time. You must do it. Are you following, Sita, what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you don't do all that. So definitely you say no. I mean, there is no way I can do that. It's a question of principles. It's a question of higher values versus lower values. You don't eat meat. It is forced on you. No, if you don't eat meat, you don't love me. I have come across these situations where people, they have come and asked me, this is what my spouse is telling me. So you should have that clarity to understand. You can't pursue Vedanta. There are cases, many cases like that. Some of the students, they have gone through that. This is how parents blackmail them. Either you choose us or choose Vedanta. If you join Vedanta, you won't get property from us. You're out. You're on your own. There are people who have faced that situation. Then you should not chicken out. So you are repeatedly dragged into activities, lifestyle, which goes against your values and conscience. Underline the word repeatedly. You are repeatedly dragged into activities, lifestyle, which goes against your values, higher values, understood, or conscience. So that's the time you need to confront that situation. And even then, try to be tolerant. It's not that you pounce on a person. I follow higher values, you follow lower values, boom, you pounce on him. No, you try to be tolerant. Understand that person is misguided. Any person who doesn't have values which we study here will be misguided, is misguided. So therefore, they are materialistic, they are sensual, they are selfish, or whatever. So try to be tolerant. Understand where they come from. Be sympathetic towards them. And if no option is left, then you have to take corrective measures so that you can live peacefully. You can follow the life which you want to follow. And that corrective measure could be confront that person. No, you can't allow this, or I won't allow this to happen. You can drag me into this repeatedly. And the worst case scenario, you need to end that relationship. That is the worst case scenario. That is the last option. So it is once, it's like a rare case scenario. Why you want to end that relationship? Because you cannot sell your personality to another person. You follow? Even if that person is your father, mother, husband, brother, friends, you can't sell your personality to them if they are, that they are going in the wrong direction. I mean, totally materialistic, totally sensual, gross indulgences. And repeatedly you are dragged into such activities that becomes your lifestyle, is becoming your lifestyle. Then how can you pursue that? Then you should have that courage and conviction to walk out of that relationship. That is the last option. Are you with me? And then the other question is, what is that? Being spiritual. Can we have that again? Can you project that on the screen?
I think you answered that last part already, Amitji. I'll go back one, Vijay.
No, what is it?
If another person is doing something wrong that disturbs your spiritual studies and or development, would it be appropriate to confront the person, or should one not confront them, instead remove themselves from that relationship?
Yeah, so in a way I answered, but it is important to understand what is being spiritual.
Reducing your desires, working unselfishly.
When I say I'm spiritual, somebody says, oh, you say you are spiritual, it means what? How it translates into day-to-day life when we relate to people.
you're trying to be more unselfish.
Okay,
You're
all
wor-
that is correct, but then how would such a person relate to another person? Well.
Hello, sorry, you cut out, Amitji.
How would such a person would relate to another person, other people in day-to-day life? What will be his
They-
mental attitude when he interacts with other people?
They understand that the other person is ignorant.
Absolutely. See, otherwise it is an ego. I am studying Vedanta. I am a student of Vedanta. I have this mission in life. I want to be spiritual. It's all okay, but you could be on an ego trip. Therefore, I don't do this. Therefore, others are going in the wrong direction. They are this and that. No. A sign of spirituality is nothing but maturity. What is that maturity? That you understand that most people, they are ignorant, meaning they are not interested in self-improvement or spiritual growth. Therefore, they are indulgent in life. What else they will do? Therefore, you have that understanding, you have that maturity, you are forgiving, right? You're sympathetic towards them. But problem comes that when those indulgences, they cross certain line, then person is grossly indulgent. You're not directly asking that, but it will help you to understand this. When somebody is grossly indulgent, then definitely you have to take, and even then you need to leave that person alone. Let him or her do whatever they want to do. Who are we to tell other person what they should do in life? Are you with me? Let them do. Who are we to correct others? In none of our business. But when it becomes too much, you have to, your existence is, your values, they are getting corroded day in and day out. Then definitely you need to tell that person, especially if it is a close relationship, it becomes a little bit challenging. But still you have to deal with it eventually. That no, I can't relate to it. It's not possible for me. And the last option, you need to, you should have courage and conviction to end that relationship. It goes without saying. And another practical solution is a long-term withdrawal, even before ending relationship. Long-term withdrawal from that relationship. When I say long-term withdrawal, I mean, if you are with a bunch of friends and that's what you know, and because of that you are getting dragged into indulgences day in and day out, how can you correct that situation? So let's say you are in Detroit, you ask your company to transfer you to Chicago. Even if it is spouse, you have to have that courage. I'm giving you extreme examples. Nothing should be taken personally here. I am just discussing here that what is the practical solution. So you stay away for a while, 5 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. That is the way to go about. May not be practical at all times, but it could be one of the options. It's possible. Therefore, repeatedly we keep on saying in this forum, what we keep on saying. 100 times I must have said this. What is most important in life? In this context, one thing is you are interested in the subject. It's great, it's rare. But to support your spiritual growth, your interest alone is not enough. It has to be backed by what?
Having good satsang.
Having good satsanga, meaning you have to be in good company. If you are not in good company, it is very, very difficult to pursue this subject. Forget about getting established in this subject. But our approach is absolutely practical. What is that practical approach? Okay, you put up with whatever is happening up to a point. You don't become tarnished just because you participate in something which you don't want to do. It is the intention which matters. But repeatedly, if it is happening, definitely you should have that courage and conviction. So therefore, Swami Ram Tirtha, he says what? I have quoted this again 100 times. He gives that warning. What is that warning? 100 times I must have said this. Swami Ram Tirtha. Oh God, please save me from.
Myself? No? Okay, I'm sorry, Amitji, I don't know the quote.
I said it 10 times minimum in your presence. Oh God, save me from.
My friends?
And
Relatives?
yeah,
Okay.
save me from my friends and relatives. See, you must understand the spirit. You must understand the spirit of what is saying. And that doesn't mean you become a social recluse. Not to be taken in that way, but that is where the downfall starts. That is where you cannot be consistent on the spiritual path. In your study reflection, that's what I mean. The whole thing boils down to your company, your friends, your spouse, the people with whom you are interacting. And in a close relationship, it becomes challenging. It's not an easy situation to deal with. If my wife is totally different from what I am doing, it's not an easy situation to deal with. Having said that, I can't just walk out of that relationship. Do you get it? So
Yes.
therefore, I'm discussing the practical steps. How can you approach the whole thing practically? But wherever possible, you need to withdraw. Therefore, the social events, that is where your downfall starts. Once in a while, okay, major functions and all that. How can you not participate? Every weekend it is happening. How can you, what spiritual growth? It's not possible. So you need to disassociate from such friends or colleagues where you feel is bringing about your downfall, or you're consistently in a wrong company or environment which is not conducive. So relatively easy to deal with. Eventually they will leave you. That's what I mean. But when it comes to very close relationship, it is a challenging thing to deal with. There is no doubt about that. No, I thought this question merits in-depth analysis. It's a very practical question. So, are you okay, Sita?
Yes, Amitji, thank you. Sudha has a question that she typed in the chat.
Yeah, please. Can Sudha read? Sudha, please read your question.
No, this is not actually the question when you were talking about how to deal the situation and how to start the discussion. So
Right.
if we are ready to start the healthy discussion, but other person is not ready, how can we handle that? Just ignore and go away from there instead of convincing them to start the discussion?
No, you cannot. If other person is not ready, what can you do? You can't do anything. It's like saying doctor is ready with the medicine, but I don't want to go to the doctor. How can doctor cure the disease? This is your question, right? There should be a doctor. Patient should be there. Patient should be willing to go to the doctor and follow his advice. So if other party is not, they don't want to discuss, they are not open for discussion, this is the problem. Otherwise, life will be very simple. The person feels that he is all right. We keep on quoting Josh Billings. How many times? 100 times we must have quoted Josh Billings, isn't it? Problem with most folks is not their ignorance. but they're knowing so many things which is not so. Josh Billings. If I'm aware of my weaknesses, my deficiencies, right? I mean, then I can be corrected, definitely. But I believe I know. So this is a problem in a relationship. It could be close relationship, it could be a professional relationship. Both parties, they feel they are right. And your question is, yes, I'm willing to explore my weaknesses. No, I'm open for a discussion. But the other person, he feels that, where is the doubt? You're wrong. I'm correct. And then there is nothing which can be done. I mean, you can make appeals, definitely. But if the other party is not ready for a dialogue at all, I mean, unfortunately, what can be done? You can't. So that person is not, he doesn't want to correct the situation. He's an egoistic person, arrogant person. Nothing can be done, unfortunately.
So in those kind of situations, how can we control our mind to ignore those issues?
And that's the whole subject. You should, that is where you need a powerful intellect. That is where you need a powerful intellect to control the mind. This is what we are trying to study. And therefore, I'm saying that is that maturity, that is that growth, that is spirituality, that other person is ignorant. If you genuinely feel that way, at some stage, the other person will understand his mistake. That's not what happens usually. Both parties, they pounce on each other. Number one. Number two, both parties feel why they pounce on each other, because both feel they're right. So it becomes impossible to correct the situation. Therefore, we find, I mean, why the divorce rate is going up and up in this country, at least 65, 70%. So therefore, the younger generation, they prefer a live-in relationship. Okay, few arguments happen. Okay, bye-bye, see you. They don't want to take responsibility. It's a highly self-centered approach. It's like buying a toothpaste from the market. So use that toothpaste, squeeze the last drop out of it. Once it is used, new toothpaste. That is the problem.
Thank you,
And
Amitji.
so if you take it to any situation, conflicts, whichever, it could be war, it could be conflict between two countries, both parties believe that they are right. So therefore, there is no discussion. They just meet. Let's meet here, let's meet there. Nothing comes out of those discussions. Problem remains for sometimes for centuries or decades. Same principle. Anyway, so is group okay with this?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Amitji.
Yeah, next question. Yeah, so please read your question, reference and a question.
Roy, it's your question.
Yeah, Roy, right?
Joe and Roy.
Joe. Yeah, okay.
Joe, yeah.
Anyone of them can.
The fall of the human intellect, chapter 4, topic, likes and dislikes. Amitji's fall of the human intellect class on 10/3/23 talked about the class discussion on making a chart of our likes and dislikes at the different levels of the personality. And my question was, once we have identified our likes and dislikes at various levels of the personality, is it safe to say that we're going in the right direction when we filter them, the likes and dislikes, through the intellect before we act on them? What happens if the intellect is weak or misguided?
And the second question from
Uh,
Ron,
okay. Go ahead,
what
go
are the
ahead.
characteristics of a weak or underdeveloped intellect? Yeah, all right. See, being aware of likes and dislikes is only the beginning. Most people, they are not aware of their likes and dislikes, and they are victimized by their likes and dislikes the entire life. That is the life of 99% of the people. I like to do this, I don't want to do this. I like this, I don't like that. Even though it is your obligation, you may say, oh, no, I don't want to like it. So that is a concept of likes and dislikes. And since early childhood, we have acquired these likes and dislikes at all levels of our personality. And by the time we are 16, 17, 18, we are nothing but a stockpile of likes and dislikes. So rather than using your intellect, logic, reason, thinking capacity, you act on likes and dislikes of the mind, impulses of the mind, whims and fancies of the mind. That's the concept. So when we talk about, yes, at least, to begin with, you should be aware of your likes and dislikes. For example, at physical level, when it comes to food, I like this, I don't like that. So you should be aware. Just because I like junk food, does that mean I should eat junk food all the time? Once in a while, okay. Or I don't like healthy food. Does that mean I should avoid healthy food? To give you a simple example, you may not feel like doing exercise. I don't like to do exercise. Is it a right thing for you to do? So becoming aware of your likes and dislikes, to answer Joe's question, is only the beginning. So it is like diagnosis. The doctor has diagnosed the disease. He suspects something. He tells you, okay, go do MRI, do this test, that test, and then the medical report comes. And doctor reads that medical report. So he has identified the disease. But then what about medicine? Then he has to prescribe that medicine, and you have to follow that, whatever medicine he gives you. So becoming aware of likes and dislikes is only the beginning, which is a great thing, because most people, you're right, they're not even aware. So with this knowledge, with intellectual application, when you become aware of your likes and dislikes, you're going in the right direction, definitely. But if intellect is weak, you will still succumb to your likes and dislikes. There is no guarantee that just because you have identified your likes and dislikes, that means from next day onwards, your life will be smooth. No, it's not going to happen that way. It will still depend on the strength of the intellect. Again, go back to the example. You like to eat junk food. Perhaps you're never aware that, I've been eating junk food. I have neglected my exercise and all that. Does that mean that from next day onwards, everything will be like normal? That you'll start eating good food, healthy food. Every day you are doing exercise, yoga, whatever you're supposed to do for being healthy. It's not going to happen that way. But yes, definitely you are going in the right direction. So you could still be victimized by powerful likes and dislikes. So therefore, what is practical is you must attend to likes and dislikes which are not that powerful. By likes and dislikes, we mean desires which are relatively innocuous, which are not very powerful, which you can deal with. For example, you like to drink once in a week. So you can't say you are victimized by that habit. Once in a week is no big deal. So you can deal with that. It is relatively easy. Rather than a person who has to have 2 or 3 pegs every day. So it becomes difficult. So that way you have a relatively weak desire. You may have a desire for buying shoes. You already have 6-7 shoes. On top of that, if you feel if there is some discount or something, some offer, you buy a shoe. It's not that you are really victimized by that. So you can control that. You can deal with that. So the likes and dislikes, which are not that powerful, relatively speaking, they can be dealt with when you use your intellect, definitely. So you can start with, first of all, preparing the chart, which I think most of us have done. And then you need to tackle likes and dislikes, which are not that powerful. Don't worry too much at this stage about powerful likes and dislikes. So as your association with this subject grows, you're more and more consistent, your intellect builds, eventually you will be able to deal with even your powerful desires. But at this stage, if we worry about our areas of weaknesses, it's too much. I have too much weakness for something. Yes, eventually I need to get rid of it. But at this stage, I can't do anything about that. So there is no point worrying unnecessarily. So just stick to the subject, follow your study, reflection, be aware, and as intellect develops, eventually you will be able to deal with even powerful desires, powerful likes and dislikes. So that's the way to go about. Does that help you, Joe?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Amitji.
And the second question, the extension of that question, what are the characteristics of weak intellect? So that's the whole theme of the book, The Fall of the Human Intellect. Entire book talks about that. That's what we are analyzing step by step. The chapter which we covered, chapter 4, the mind wreaks havoc. So these are the characteristics of weak intellect. So he told us that how you are victimized by likes and dislikes. This is what we are discussing here. Worry and anxiety, when intellect is not powerful, constant worry, constant anxiety. You are victimized by your desires. You don't know what you want in life. It's like a wild goose chase entire life. You're victimized by two motivations, acquisition, enjoyment. You're attached. You're possessive, whatever you contact. And then if you go towards the end of the book, the last 2-3 chapters, he makes it very clear. So we will cover it. It's a matter of another 3 to 4 months. Consequences of disregarding the intellect. When it is pronounced, eventually it will lose its sanity. All mental illnesses. This is the reason. Everybody talks about mental illness. Even children, we are talking about. What is the root cause? Intellect is weak. As long as you don't address that, mental illnesses will continue. Mind may become destructive. This is what is happening in the world. One set of people, whoever they are, they want to destroy another community. Why? Intellect is not there at all. Choice of action goes wrong. You follow the herd instinct, and most of the times people are going in the wrong direction in life. Ego and all sorts of complexes, your productivity is affected, effect on religion. This is what we're going to study. So all these are characteristics of the weak intellect. And if you go to the 9th chapter, he further explains what it creates. Freedom versus bondage. So you're bound to everything and you feel you're free. No, actually you're bound. Richness and poverty. You may be actually rich, but you feel poor. So who is rich, who is poor? Nothing to do with quantum of wealth. Everybody is chasing the quantum. No, it depends on if your desires are within your income, you're rich. If your desires exceed your income, you're poor. You may be earning $2 million per year, but your desires are at $5 million. You're a poor person. What is health? What is ill health? Love, attachment. Nobody understands the difference. Again, it's a characteristic of a weak intellect. What is knowledge? What is wisdom? You may approach Vedanta just out of curiosity. So you're an information hunter. You don't put effort to convert knowledge into wisdom because of poor intellect. Who is mundane, who is spiritual? So it's amazing analysis. What are the characteristics of weak intellect? So when you complete the book, it will take us maybe 4 or 5 months. By April, book should be complete. You'll have complete understanding of what happened, what is happening to all of us internally. And you're quite sincere. I mean, I see you every class, Saturday class as well as Tuesday class. You're participating in various discussion forums. So you're going in the right direction. Within 2 or 3 years, you will have that complete clarity. Just listen, just participate, whatever is happening here.
Thank you so much.
Complete these 4 to 5 books, 4 books and Bhagavad Gita, you will have complete clarity. That much I can assure you, because I know you're sincere.
Yes, it's my taking seriously what I'm learning, putting it into my own life, acting on it consistently.
It will happen automatically. You don't have to worry. As you become healthy, automatically it applies. As you develop muscles, you know what it means.
Yeah.
So you're
Constant work.
Lifelong. See, the beauty of Vedanta is whole life you're a student.
Mm-hmm.
That's the beauty. That's the excitement, till the last day of your life,
Mm-hmm.
I want to improve. So you die with that thought.
Mm-hmm.
And you carry it forward. So that self-improvement never stops.
Mm-hmm.
If you fail to reach the ultimate state, you don't lose anything.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
Oh, sorry, time up. I didn't realize. So the pending questions, Radha, Sita, question 9 and question 11 is pending. We are supposed to discuss that. That was the plan. So Sita's question, which is question number 9, and Gita Auntie's question number 11, we'll take it up next time. Next week, because of Thanksgiving, there is no question and answer session. So following Thursday, what is the date?
30th November.
30. So
30.
yeah, so let's have Q&A session on 30th, and we'll start with these 2 questions, and then I will tell you which other questions to take up.
Okay.
All right. So the newcomers, are you okay from what we discussed today? Group is okay? No doubts? So I'll see you soon on Saturday, those who attend Gita class.
Hari Om, Amitji.
Hari Om. Hari Om, Amitji.
Thank you so much.